Hey there, I'm just waiting for Venus to come in. We have a special guest joining us today. I just gotta make sure she joins on board. So welcome everyone that's coming. While I get this set up here, here's what I ask that you do. In the chat, I'd love to know where you're checking in from. So let me make sure I have that set properly. I see Venus coming on board now. Okay, so in the chat, if you can hear me loud and clear, just tell me. I had some video problems, so I'm on a backup camera. There's Venus. Michael, how are you, Venus? You're on mute, just so you know.
Sorry.
That's
There we
quite all
go.
right. Okay, I just activated the chat. I want to make sure everyone can hear us loud and clear. I see folks checking in from Atlanta. Tell us where you are. Tell us what the weather's like too, because it gets getting awfully hot this time of year. Scranton, Pennsylvania's here. Oh, by the way, at the bottom, because folks are sending messages to me directly, at the bottom of the chat box where it says host and panelists, change that to everyone. This way everyone can see your participation. So let me tell you what we're here for, and then we'll dig into it. My name is Mike Michalowicz. I'm joined by my colleague, Venus Michael, today. I am the author of Profit First and also the co-founder of Profit First Professionals. We're going to talk about the Profit First Professionals journey. Venus Michael is a member and has achieved nothing short of extraordinary things, including releasing a book, which I see right over your head. Which, by the way, if I can say this, Venus, the best formatted book, among other things, but it's so well laid out. People who read Profit First for Photographers, you will be transformed. So, Venus, thanks for doing this and welcome.
Thank you.
So the goal, Venus, here was, we do events for Profit First professionals. I talk a lot about Profit First and the implementation. I rarely talk about the journey that a member goes through. So I would love to hear, kind of in reverse order almost. I like to first start off where your business is today. Tell us what you've achieved. And then I want to kind of rewind of how you did it as a Profit First professional. I think our listeners, our guests are going to get a lot of insights.
Well, my business today is not just me.
Yep.
There's 6 of us on the team.
Okay.
6, yes. I had to think.
That's a good already. It's like mind blowing. Yeah.
Um, we help photographers all over the United States. So we have a huge clientele that we do. And that is not where I started.
Okay. A couple more details on where you are today. You're an author of a book, right?
Yes, I'm still getting used to that.
Okay. Uh, it's remarkable. You're, as a result, even when you and I spoke before you published your book, I believe you're generating leads as an author of a book. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's true.
Your income, my understanding is at the highest level personal income is the highest level you've ever been at. Is that fair?
That's more than fair.
Okay. Um, you also have transformed yourself physically, and I don't know, mentally is the right word too, but the way you frame things is radically different uh, today than it was when I first met you. Is that also kind of? I feel like I'm being an attorney here. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you would make a good attorney.
Is it true or not true, Miss Michael? Not today. Yeah. So okay, I wanted our guests to hear that context. Um, I'll use my own words. You make a substantial income. We want to respect. I want to respect your privacy, but it is substantial. You don't worry about taxes anymore because your business is paying it for you. You have 6 employees, where you started off as a solo practitioner. You are an authority in your space. You've been asked for major keynotes, major presentations on the subject of Profit First for
Mhm.
your community that you're targeting, and you're a different person. Now let's rewind to day one of when you joined Profit First. I'm just curious, what was your business like at that point? And I'm not saying that like as a before after, more than I want us to understand what was the framing, what inspired you to become a PFP during that period.
Let's rewind a little bit more and talk about where I was before I found Profit First.
Oh, I like to hear that. Okay.
I was borderline suicidal, was not making any money whatsoever, looking at foreclosure, visiting the pawn shop. I was that low.
Oh, wow.
And then I heard a podcast that you had done, and I don't remember anything else you said in that podcast except for how you ended it. And you ended it with talking about you and your wife had just bought a TV for your destination backyard. And I was like, I want a destination backyard. And
That's
that sold
right.
me. That sold me on the book.
That,
So I bought your book,
yeah.
implemented it in my business, played around with a couple of my clients' businesses, and then contacted Profit First Professionals and said, I have to be a part of this organization.
Let's talk about the low parts. You're super candid, and I don't want anyone, any of our guests to hear those things and think you're just blowing off bullets. I mean, you were in a very dark space.
Very dark.
How do you, what's survival, if that's the right choice of words, like in a business when you're in that struggle?
It's really it's really hard because it goes more than just the business. It starts attacking, emotionally attacking you in every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
There is no clocking out of the problem.
Yeah. So, is it, I just need a client, or, I just need money desperately, or is it something worse? It's like, am I even, is it worth sustaining? Like I'm just kind of curious about the emotions and the thoughts that were going through your head during that phase.
Um, a little bit of it was I needed a client because I needed clients because I needed cash, but it started affecting my self-worth.
Yeah.
I thought, well, if I can't get a client, then I'm not worthy. Nobody cares about me. And that's not true, but that's how I felt.
Yeah. I can relate to that. And a personal story when I was in my darkest struggles. And the reality is we never know when or if it will come back. Like, it's not that, well, there's a before and after, and the after is always perfect. There can be more struggles. But in this particular period of my life with the deepest business struggles I had, I remember I remember hearing about this kind of like in movies and stuff, but I actually started doing it, running the numbers saying, am I worth more not existing than I am existing? Like, am I more of a deterrent and detriment? And those aren't, if anyone ever has those thoughts, please seek professional help right away. We need you. But those thoughts, I think, to some degree, are kind of normal in those stages. And for me, it was harder to exert myself. It was almost a spiral of like just wanting to sleep all the time, not exist, to fade into oblivion, not be known. To I disassociate with my community. I remove myself from my circle of friends and professional colleagues. Did you experience elements like that? And if so, what were they?
I did experience elements like that. I went very, very dark. And see, I did books. And so I thought, I've got to have this figured out. Why can't I figure it out? And I really felt stupid for not
Mhm.
getting it, which just fed into my darkness. And when I listened to you and your podcast, and to kind of frame that podcast, you had just launched the book. That's what you were doing. You were promoting the book and you had
Yes.
just launched it. And I listened to it and I was just thinking, it's so simple. And it just immediately made sense to me. And it was almost like day three after reading that book where I started getting my self-worth back, which then spilled over into I feel better now because now I saw it in a different light. And that's why I try to get other people to see it in a different light as well.
Oh, that's such a good aha. Is what
It
I
was.
heard is it well is that you won your own confidence. For me, the aha is you won your self confidence back. That you won your own trust of yourself back, and it sounds like you didn't fake it till you make it. That they like they say, it didn't sound like just put yourself out there and start selling harder and smile when we're struggling inside. It sounded like you fixed some of the challenges you had that moment first. Is that
Mhm.
okay?
That's exactly right.
So I wonder if anyone's willing to share in the chat if you can relate to some of what Venus is saying. Um, and I can see you got some friends here too. Uh, a friend of Felicia Reed is here. When when you're in the this transformational state, or a transforming state. So you're in the struggles, you're providing bookkeeping services, you discover profit first, you implement it for yourself. You said 3 days later you start changing. You know, did you make a goblet of more money in 3 days? Like, how can only in 3 days you start feeling like this transformation or change?
No, it wasn't in 3 days I had money. It was just in 3 days I could understand it better and I could explain it better, visualize it better.
Okay.
Um, I actually had I went and I purchased some red Solo cups and some chips, and I played with I had 100 chips on there, and I played with all the percentages to like visually see this is what it would look like. And then when I started explaining it to the very few people I was working with, it started making sense with them too, which then fed into my self-confidence.
Oh, that's amazing. So did you start introducing it to your clients and coaching them on this, or saying I can help you, support you on there? How'd that go?
The first one, I called my client. I remember him. I called him and I said, "Hey, I just read this book. I tried it out. I've been doing it for 2 weeks. I want to try it on your business." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And he came over and we had a meeting and I pulled out my chips and my red Solo cups and I said, "Look, this is kind of what I think it'll work like." And he was like, at first he was really taken back and then he was like, "Okay, let's try it." And then he saw success right away, a lot faster than I did because his revenue was higher than mine.
Mhm.
But he saw success. And that's when I started thinking, okay, I've got to be part of this. There's got to be more than what's in this book. And started searching and found professionals.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, and I invite our guests listening in is, if you aren't doing profit first for yourself, try it, play with it. I mean, that Venus, that's what you did, right? Do you think now that you have the professional experience and all that training we've given you and you've received, did you do profit first right from the get-go, or did you learn, oh, there's actually different elements or different
No,
ways? No,
no,
and
I
it
totally
still
messed up.
worked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally messed up.
And the beautiful thing is, I think that's the permission of the system. Like anyone listening in right now, you don't have to nail profit first. You don't have to be perfect at to try it. But gosh, it's a mistake if you don't afford yourself the experiment. Were you? I was. Were you skeptical when I started creating for myself? I'm like, I was desperate, but I got to try things out. I didn't think it would really work. Were you skeptical at all?
Yes. But then I also wanted my destination backyard, and you said you got it.
I really did. And you've been in my house. I got it.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a dream come true. Well, let's talk about that. When it comes to accomplishing a vision, the backyard, or it may just be a dinner where I don't have to put on credit card. Like those are for me where the were big and still continue to be massive moments of confidence building. When did you have any transactions or personal experiences where you're like, oh, that was something I wasn't experiencing before, and now I have more confidence in myself?
I bought a truck.
Oh,
I bought a brand new truck. Um, had to order it. It was that brand new.
oh my
And that was
God.
when I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
So that was a brand new car. Uh, did you pay cash for it?
Yes.
Oh, so listen, Venus, when people say they buy a brand new thing, it usually means I leverage the crap out of my credit. I max myself out. I was, but uh, that's profound. We don't have to put in the chat, but how many people here, have paid cash for a car or a brand new truck, the one that you order, which I presume is a big dollar amount? Was there? I assume that didn't happen on day four. So was there days
Oh,
before that where there was moments of growing confidence? And if so, what was happening that would give you that confidence?
well, the first time I had like real confidence that you could track back to profit first actually came from a testimonial that one of my clients did in a networking. We were in a networking luncheon and there was about 60 people in the room. And I had just done my very first presentation about profit first to these people. And she stood up in the room and she's very high energy. And she
Mhm.
stood up in the room and talked about how she had just had her taxes done. The story's in the book, but she had just had her taxes done. And this was the first time she owed $17,000 for a tax bill. And her husband about had a heart attack and he freaked out because they never did that before. And she just reached over and she said, "Don't worry, I got this." And that was the first, like, really thing that boosted my self-confidence because I helped her get there. And I was like, cool, I nailed it with that one. And then I
Nailed it.
want to go nail it with everyone else.
Yeah. And was that wasn't scripted, I presume. I'm making an assumption here. It was
No,
she just stood up and shared that.
Mike, nothing with her is scripted.
Oh, Venus, I love it. I'm getting chills here. Isn't that, listen, in the chat, who wants in the future to get unscripted, impromptu testimonials? Would that be powerful? Give me a hell yes, or yeah, I would love to get that. Um, that's amazing. So you're presenting on it. There's a client of yours that feels so compelled by what have you served her. She shares her own story. Do you get testimonials now from other customers? Maybe just directly to you, or maybe they're spreading the word in the same way. How many other people
Yes,
have you impacted, would you say?
I have impacted quite a few people. The last time I checked about how many photographers I had actually implemented the system with that came back and changed their life somehow, my number was at 72. I checked that last June. So,
It's funny you speak like so candidly, like it's just like 72. Are you effing kidding me?
no, it's
72?
amazing. I love it. I love it because I'm changing lives and then they're changing lives. I've
Yeah.
got photographers that have passion projects that are touching other people. And then I was in a meeting yesterday and I heard from one of my clients that her passion project, I had to pull it out of her, but her passion project is now touching somebody else on the other side of the country.
Oh
It's
my
the
God.
ripple effect. I love it.
You're triggering a ripple effect. Liz, my font's messed up, but Liz and I think it's Jennifer Adams both would love to get testimonials like that. Um, at the end of the day, it is my assumption that you, Venus, are having profound impact on people to the point where they feel compelled to give testimonials. Why? And maybe it happens for the bookkeeping services and the other services you do. Does Profit First get you more accolades than that work? And if so, why? And if not, why?
Yes. So being able to define myself as a profit first professional, that's the foot in the door.
Okay.
Um, because you can get bookkeeping a dime a dozen and you can get good bookkeeping a quarter a dozen.
Yeah.
Um, but to actually like define myself and say, okay, I am a profit first professional and I can help you with this specific system that just makes sense because everybody in the business world, like you're famous, so everyone is like and knows you. They don't know how to pronounce your last name, but they
Oh,
know
this guy.
you,
Oh, you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. No one knows me. Yeah, no.
you know? And so to be able to say, I work on this system and this book that he wrote, I can help you with it. It does get your foot in the door. And then you just do the work and the testimonials come.
What percentage of your work, time wise, that you and your team invest is Profit First specific work versus the bookkeeping work that you do?
So that kind of splits because I have people on my team that do just the bookkeeping, and then there's the people that do profit first. But I would say, like, if you took all of our hours
Yeah.
together, we probably do 80% profit first work. That's, the consulting and the
Yeah.
assessments and the looking, everything that we tie to profit first, probably a good 80% of it goes back to that.
Wow. Okay. I was actually fully expecting you to say the reverse. So with 80% of your work
No.
being Profit First, can you or do you dictate a premium over the traditional bookkeeping fees that you would charge?
Yes.
Like to what percent or how much?
Um, well, my fee is not inexpensive at all. And I don't break it up into this is what you pay for bookkeeping and this is what you pay for profit first.
Okay, just because you're a profit first professional, this is what you pay. Period.
This is what you
Regard.
pay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sensitive to the confidentiality, and I don't want to reveal that, but maybe you can give me a percentage or something. When you were just doing bookkeeping prior to leveraging the Profit First brand, to what amplitude is your pricing now?
Um, 5 times.
But
I had to think about it because I had to go back. I can tell you what my growth was, but it was 5 times.
okay. Yeah, well, yes, this is fair, and I'm totally biased. Like I believe in Profit First so much, and I know you do too. Um, they say the greater community says to most bookkeepers and accountants and coaches, you got to increase your prices. They don't say how, they say increase your prices. But you pointed out earlier that bookkeeping, at least from the customer's perception, is pretty commoditized. A good bookkeeper is a dime a dozen. And maybe there's some truth to that. And same thing with a accountant or bookkeeper, a coach. The customer, um, do they is it the same customer now that you're tracking with Profit First? They feel that 5 times price is justified? Did you have to get a new type of customer with a new perception? I'm just wondering how the brand and your ability changes the perception, if at all, with your customers.
Well, we're not selling bookkeeping. We're not even selling profit first implementation. We're selling what you get. We're
Okay.
selling the result. So if you want to be the type, like in my business, if you want to be the type of photographer who has a studio and 5 photographers, then I'm going to get you there. If you want to be the type of photographer who's always traveling, then I'm going to get you there. We're selling the result, not the
But
actual transaction stuff.
that's so good. So that actually a super great tip. I hope everyone listening in jots that down. So you sell the result, and that I assume therefore in your conversations, your consultative calls with these customers or prospects at that stage, I guess you identify where they are now and where they want to be. And if that's true, do you talk about how profitability needs to drive that, or how's that part included?
Yeah, so we do the yesterday, today, tomorrow thing. We
Oh,
talk
what's
about
that?
yesterday. Every conversation we talk about yesterday. What already happened. Basically keeping them compliant, doing the actual bookkeeping stuff. Then we talk about today and I'll ask them, what's going on in your studio today? And that's where if you can learn to listen to what your clients are saying, that's where you will hear a lot of what they're wanting, where they're wanting to go. And then we talk about, tomorrow, where do you want to be? So if I
Mm,
hear, oh, they want to take this trip or they want to buy this person, but they want to pay for this payroll person, then that's when we say, okay, well, let's profit first that and let's rework the percentages and let's make sure there's a bank account for it.
nice.
And it's very consultative.
As we're talking here, I just wanted to share that Jennifer Fink is here, and she said, "I justify
Yes.
because Venus works. Everyone," she did all caps, "needs a Venus. I couldn't do this without her." I assume Jennifer is a client of yours. Is that
She
right?
is, and she has an amazing story of what Profit First has done for her.
And I wonder, Jennifer, in the chat, I wonder if you can share what Venus has done for you. I mean, clearly you love Venus. I'm just curious on how it's impacted your business statistically. So, okay, so Venus, I get it now. You package in the promise of the future. We work toward it. Um, One argument I hear from people who are considering becoming a profit first professional versus not say, well, any customer can just read the book. It's all in the book. It all is all in the book, but it all isn't in the book. I'm just wondering, what value are you bringing your customers if they can just read the book and do it?
I was hoping you would ask me that question.
Okay.
So, being a Profit First professional, there's a lot of value in it. The guides are great.
Who's your guy?
You've created the guides, Billy
We-
Ann and Liz,
You work
and
with
you
Billy
know,
Ann?
I work with Billy Ann, but I also talk to Liz and I talk to Ron. I talk to everybody up there. That's great. The being able to see you twice a year That's pretty cool too. But the value, the actual value in being a profit first professional is the networking with all the other profit first professionals, to be in a room of like-minded people. We're all going the same way. We all want to help each other. That when I actually plugged into that, that's when my growth really started to skyrocket.
Yeah, and they are champions of you. I can say this specifically. So you're in, we call it a fortress, right? So we have these groups where it's a cohort of 6 to 8 members typically that work in concert. Prior to that, this is I'm being a big assumption here, but I assume it's kind of a lonely business. Even when you have 6 employees, do you feel that your fortress, that community, allows you to connect and share at a level that the general population doesn't kind of get?
Yes, because I can talk to them about things I wouldn't talk to my staff about, or my
Yeah.
clients about, or my husband about.
Yeah.
We can talk about, business. And then if I get stuck or need help, they're just a message away. If they get stuck, I'm just a message away. But it's
Yeah.
not just my fortress. I love my fortress. I'm in a great fortress.
Yeah.
But it is all the other profit first professionals that I get to network at with the c- in the at the conventions,
Yeah.
sitting and having lunch and talking and learning from someone else about what they do or what they found, what tool they found. That is invaluable.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting. And for me, one perception I have of our members and for myself is that it also brings around a camaraderie. So there's learning, there's sharing, but there's also this championing of each other, but almost like a fun competitive spirit. Like, oh, you've done this. I want to do that now. And there's this interesting support because I've noticed, we have globally about 600 members in the US actively right now. I think there's 340 members or so. Um, what I've noticed is when someone gets on a roll on something, like starts crushing on video, you're authoring books, all of a sudden there's this cascade. It's like, oh my God, Venus did that. And then other people kind of follow suit. Like the first person breaks the ice. Have you seen that? Have you seen other members achieve certain things that you wanted, and then you were able to leverage their knowledge or insights or get momentum that way?
Yes, I'm a big fan of John Briggs.
Oh, tell me about, tell me your perception of the John Briggs story, kind of his before and after. It's kind of crazy, right?
Well, I don't know a lot of his before, but I know right now he is totally rocking it, and that's what I aspire to be.
Okay. Yeah, John Briggs, I'll tell you a little about his before and after. So when he joined us, I think he had 10 employees at the time. He was doing the grind himself, doing the work and pretty exhausted. He saw Profit First as an opportunity similar to you to introduce a new service set to his clients. He implemented in his own business. We require that of everyone and build his confidence. His after today, I think he's got three to, no, no, I know it's over 250. I think it's about 300 employees because he has had a birthday cake get delivered to him saying, congratulations on your 250th employee. And that was about 2 months ago. Uh, they've grown explosively. He's running his organization. But that's not even the interesting thing because I don't think all of us aspire to have this big company. Um, what it is his impact. Like he is transforming life after life. He's just this good dude doing good things. And he comes back to our events and says, here's the script of how I did this. Here's the script of how I done that. He's the word mensch, the Yiddish word mensch comes to mind. He seems like to be such a giver. Do you find that to be true of most, or maybe even all the community, or maybe just a few, that they're achieving big things, but they feel just as called to contribute those big things to folks that want to follow the same path?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody helps everybody. I was talking with Cindy Tomlinson, and she was helping me with something. I've been helped by Suzanne,
Mm.
and these are all people that aren't in my fortress that they're higher than I am on like the ladder of business, and they all help to pull me up. And then I have also helped people that are like maybe a rung or two lower, said, okay, you want to do this? This is how I did it, and let's get you there.
While we're chit chatting here, Jennifer Fink shared kind of her story. We don't have time to read through it, but went to Hawaii earlier this year. Awesome. I hope you
Mhm.
enjoyed that tremendously. Going to Iceland, like, to me, I only presume those are dreams come true. Monica posted Venus. She has a photography business, is looking for a Venus effectively. So give Venus a call. Venus, let's talk about your advice now. So you've gone through this journey. You're very modest in what you share and what you've done. Um, I can't emphasize enough how much you've transformed yourself, how much you're generating and being of an income and being of service, and how much profit you're making. Like it can't be overemphasized. What would you suggest to folks who are considering profit first professionals? What's the journey they should follow in considering if it's a fit for them, knowing what it's about, trying it out? What's all your thoughts about that journey and how they should go about it?
Well, knowing if it's a fit for them, that's a very personal question. But if they
Yes.
decide it's a fit for them, don't do what I did. I joined and I kind of stayed on the outskirts for years before I plugged myself in, and I wasted probably 4 years of I was an introvert. I didn't think I belonged, and I didn't actually plug myself in. It's when you plug yourself in and you get connected with all the other professionals that you actually get the value and the growth that you're looking for.
Yeah, minus maybe one or two people. I think we're all introverts in that group. I think Ron maybe is the extrovert, and maybe
Yes.
one other person, but we're this great introverted community, um, which which doesn't mean we can't communicate or connect with each other. We just do it in our way, and I think that's what's so embracing about this community. Um, Knowing if it's right for you, let's talk a little bit about your story. You knew it was right for you, profit first, because you heard an outcome that I shared on a podcast. What's the best way to start exploring profit first? If someone's not a profit first professional, but they're an accountant, bookkeeper, or coach, what's the best way to start exploring profit first so you can see if an element lands with you or not?
So if you're a visual hands-on person, then literally go get some red Solo cups and some chips and just
I
play
love that
with
idea. I love that
just
idea.
just play with it and like visualize it and say, okay, does this make sense? If you're an analytical type of person, then it's a real quick, easy spreadsheet just to
Yeah.
look at the numbers and just run scenarios, do a lot of if this, then that, you know?
Now, a huge part of profit first, and what we teach a lot about behind the scenes. The book is the system. Behind the scenes is the psychology. And so when I was writing Profit First, I invested years in studying behavioral psychology. I'm not certified. I don't have a degree in behavioral psychology. I have a passion for it. And it's a lot of it. So it's mindset effectively. What at the end of the day, profit first, the numbers are numbers. If you make $1,000, profit first isn't going to make you make more money. It's just going to start leveraging techniques to manage that money better. What were some of the ahas you had with mindset when you became a profit first professional that has served you?
Well, I was one of the very typical people that fell for the whole I will use the whole resource,
Yeah,
the whole Parkinson's law.
yeah,
I had to do a little rewiring around that. So of course, Profit First really helped because it limited my resource. Then also, I had to give myself grace, and I tell my clients this too, to have grace that it takes a while to build a habit. Like you can't decide, oh, I'm going to be buff and have great shoulders and arms and then wake up the next day and do it. No,
right,
you got to get up every morning and
yeah,
actually make it a habit. Um, and there is a lot of self-discipline that happens in the beginning,
yeah,
and then it becomes second nature
yeah, yeah.
where
Yeah, and
you
profit
just
first,
do it.
is based upon, and I teach them this behavioral theory. Last time you were at the master meetup, I went kind of through the list, and I wonder if I almost went through too hastily, and we can talk about different topics deeply, but one's called operant conditioning. And what it is this concept of what we experience now, uh, whatever behavior results in that experience, we'll likely repeat and have the same experience. And the more we have the same outcome, the more we're conditioned to expect that outcome. So for a lot of people is when money comes in, there's this big spend, and then there's this feeling of, oh, there's no money left. What happened? And then so there's this panic to get more money in because that was what we wanted. And then it all goes away, and we start this loop. Profit first by carving up the money before we spend it, we know what money's intended for. It forces us that when money comes in to have that expectation of, oh, everything's taken care of, and it starts giving that reward mechanism. When I'm just curious, with your own implementation of Profit First, when did you start feeling that confidence saying, oh, this money is taking care of all the elements of my business, as opposed to one lump sum going in and we just spend it on the next thing that we need?
Before I totally felt confident in it and okay, and I wasn't going to stumble was about 9 months in.
Mm.
It took a while.
So how do you stick with it for 9 months then? Like, how do you get to that point? Because
I wanted my backyard. Like
okay,
that you saying that line in that podcast nailed it for me. It's just, I don't I don't remember anything else you said in that podcast.
yeah,
I just
that
remember
backyard.
thinking, "Oh, this makes sense." And then you talked about a backyard.
We got to do a meetup in your area and then party out in your backyard if you're up for it. We got to see
Okay,
this.
let's do it.
Let's do it. Um, okay. So, for our guests listening in, what I'm hearing is set a vision for yourself, a goal you have. That backyard of yours, were you dreaming of it for a period of time? This is pre-Profit First. And I'm curious, at any point, did you kind of give up on it and say it's never going to happen?
Yeah, I did give up on it. So at that time, I had purchased this house. I was in it 2 years,
Mm.
maybe 2.5 years, and it didn't even have grass. It was a fence and dirt.
Hmm.
And
And
in
now?
Texas, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now it doesn't have a TV because I wouldn't sit out there, but it's got a fire pit and it's got
Oh,
a cabana and it's got a bunch of trees and flowers and
oh, it's beautiful. It's your vision, I presume.
it's my vision. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's one big takeaway that I'm hearing that I don't typically hear talked about is what's that dream you had that ain't happening and you're giving up on it. I wonder if B is telling us this is true, that that's proof whatever you're doing at that point isn't serving that dream. And maybe it's time to take that leap to try something new. Was that the precipice for you? That dream is ain't happening. I gotta try something new.
Yeah. That's why I'm not joking when I tell you that line nailed it for me. I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I want that," because I was just looking at dirt and a fence. It was
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
I didn't wanna be there.
That's amazing. Tell me the last few things before we start wrapping up here, and then I have something for our guests. So don't leave early. But um, do you have a future vision now? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I mean, clearly you make visions come true. So I'm gonna be recording. I am recording this, and I want to hold you
You
accountable
gonna
to.
hold
But
me
what,
to
what do
it?
you see 5 years out now?
So 5 years out, I actually see myself on a big stage talking to a large crowd of people and changing lives. That is my new passion. I want to start the ripple effect in other people. I want my clients to be able to go out and do their passion projects that are touching lives of people I will never know.
I love that. Well, you're well on the path to that. You are having that ripple effect. Now, you're already on the stage too. Now it's just putting you on the bigger stage.
Yeah,
I think it's got to be
I want the big one.
PPA, right? The Professional Photographers Association. They get
Yeah,
5,000 people there. 5 years, you got to be on that stage or a stage like that. Is that
that's
fair?
where I'm going.
Okay. Um, I'm putting a link in for everyone. Just check out in the chat. This is a link. If you're interested in becoming or considering becoming a Profit First professional, go there. There's information on that page. Click on the apply now button. This is to start the dialogue with our team. You went through that experience too. And I wonder, Venus, before we wrap it up here, um, was that call about where I was trying to convince you to become a PFP? Was it more a conversation? Is this a fit? What's that experience like? And I know this goes a ways back, but what do you think about that application process?
So the application process itself was pretty simple. I didn't complete the application process because I didn't think that I met the requirements at that time. And
Mm.
so I kind of was like, oh, I don't meet that. And I held off on it. I received a phone call and had a conversation, and they're like, well, actually, you do. And I'm like, okay. The biggest holdup for me was, the investment.
Yeah,
And how am I going to do this investment when I'm not making any money whatsoever?
yeah.
And I took a leap of faith and I was like, something's got to change. This has got to work. I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, it ain't cheap, and we don't want to be a cheap organization. We never will be. Um, but it's a commitment. Um, has there been, what would we say the return is for you? Has it been substantial? Can you give me a multiple? Is there a multiple?
I'm so sorry about the dog.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
So
What's your dog's
okay.
name?
Her name is Ella, and she's
Oh,
like really barking right now.
oh, do
Ella,
not.
stop it.
Well, literally Zoom's amazing. I don't hear Ella at all. It's like silent. So you're good. So last
Okay.
question is just the return on investment you've made in the Profit First Professionals. Do you have a sense of what it's been?
But Mike, let me give you some numbers. So
Oh,
before Profit First versus my first year in Profit First. So I went
okay.
through a whole year cycle. My revenue grew. I have these numbers over here because I pulled them 353.63% in revenue. That
No,
was, and that was me being on the
that's
outskirts.
in 1 year, a 353% plus growth.
Yes, just by
Mama.
being able to say I'm a Profit First professional.
Okay.
Then when I plugged in, and it grew and grew and grew again, but then when I plugged in and actually did it, if you take my revenue before Profit First and my revenue my first year in Mastery, 2,388.77% growth in revenue just for plugging in and using the network.
Holy smokes. And that is that as of today, it's a 2,800% growth, or is it continuing on
That's as of December,
as of December? And is this
yeah,
year
as of
look
my most recent tax return.
now this year, admittedly, there's something going on with the economy. I'm predicting, declaring recession, but many businesses are feeling it. I can presume your revenue is dropping this year.
Well, yeah, it's dropped a little bit, but it's not dropped so much that it's made me nervous.
And how about profitability? Is that being affected substantially?
No, because I'm pretty much on top of that. If the revenue drops, then we tighten down a little bit more.
Yeah, because you take your profit first, right? And it triggers that cascade of decision making.
Yes.
Okay. Let me give you this one last chance. Final thoughts for people joining or considering joining. Um, what's your direction or thoughts for them?
If you join, actually plug in, get on the phone
Mm,
call with your guides, start meeting the other professionals, go to ProfitCon and
yes.
actually meet people in person because it's invaluable the conversations you will have just by sitting and having lunch.
Yeah. And the results, I assure you, will be tremendous. Everyone, thanks for joining. I put a link in the chat. You can click on that and you can learn a little more about Profit First. And we'd love for you to apply. We are accepting new members currently. Venus, thank you so much for being here today and sharing.
Thank you.
I'll see you. And give Ella a little pet for me.
Okay.
Bye. Bye bye.
Bye.